Have you ever felt that sudden bolt of pain in your calf, just as you were drifting off to sleep? The kind that makes you sit up and gasp for air? A patient of mine once told me it felt like someone grabbed her leg and twisted it from the inside. And I want you to imagine this for a moment. What if the very thing triggering those nighttime cramps has been sitting on your dinner plate all along? For so many older adults, leg cramps at night feel like a mystery. They seem to come out of nowhere. Many people assume it is just part of aging or something they have to accept quietly. But after working with seniors for decades, I can tell you that nighttime leg cramps often follow patterns, and one of the biggest ones is connected to what you eat, especially in the hours before bed. Diet plays a larger role than most people ever realize. I remember a woman in her 70s who came into my office exhausted from weeks of nightly cramps. She had tried stretching, warm baths, even changing her mattress. Nothing worked. It wasn't until we looked at her evening eating habits that everything made sense. When she adjusted just one part of her bedtime nutrition, the improvement felt almost magical, not because her body was failing before, but because it was asking for the right support. Let me explain this simply. Your muscles depend on minerals like magnesium, potassium, and calcium to contract and relax smoothly. They need hydration to stay responsive and oxygenated. They rely on nighttime relaxation to reset from the day. When even one of these pieces is missing, your muscles become tense and more likely to spasm during the quiet hours of the night. So, if you have been wondering why leg cramps strike hardest at bedtime, you are not alone. And the good news is that leg cramps do not always signal something dangerous. In many cases, your body is simply communicating a need you can support with the right foods at the right time. Stay with me, because in the next part, I will guide you through the exact foods that calm nerves, relax muscles, improve circulation, and create the perfect conditions for a cramp-free night. Before we continue, if this video is helping you understand your health, please subscribe, like, and share Senior Health Daily. Your support truly inspires us to keep creating helpful content for you. Why diet matters more than people think. As we get older, we start to notice that our bodies whisper in ways they never used to. A little stiffness here, a little discomfort there. For many seniors, leg cramps at night become one of those whispers. They appear suddenly, almost violently, in the quietest part of the evening. What surprises most people is how deeply the foods we eat influence these sensations. Muscles are remarkable, living tissues that need the right building blocks to stay calm and steady. They depend on electrolytes like magnesium, potassium, and calcium to help them contract and release smoothly. Imagine your muscles as tiny engines working around the clock. Without the right fuel, those engines sputter, tighten, and sometimes seize up. During the day, when we are moving, blood flow keeps those engines warm and supplied. But at night, when we finally slow down, small imbalances become louder. Aging plays a role too. Our bodies do not absorb minerals from food the way they once did. Even if you eat relatively well, your muscles may not be getting what they need. These gaps become most noticeable at night because the body is resting, circulation slows down, and deficiencies reveal themselves in the form of throbbing, tightening, or sudden, painful spasms. Many seniors also eat lightly during the day and depend heavily on dinner to carry them through the evening. When that meal lacks the minerals muscles crave, leg cramps become far more likely during sleep. Another factor is the way people adjust their eating habits as they age. Some skip meals, some avoid fruits or vegetables because of digestive issues, and many follow restricted diets without realizing they are reducing essential nutrients. When the body is low in electrolytes for long periods, nighttime becomes the moment when the muscles finally protest. That is why diet matters far more than most people think. Nighttime cramps are rarely about bad luck. They are often the result of small nutritional gaps that build quietly over time. And the hopeful part is this: food can fix what food has been missing. When we understand how to nourish our muscles properly, we begin to restore comfort and ease back into our nights. Foods rich in magnesium, the relaxation mineral. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful minerals your muscles depend on: magnesium. I like to call it the relaxation mineral because it helps calm both nerves and muscles. When magnesium is low, muscles tighten more easily, nerves fire more frequently, and nighttime cramps become much more common. Many seniors do not realize how easy it is to become mildly deficient in magnesium, especially when diets shift or medications interfere with absorption. Foods like spinach, almonds, pumpkin seeds, bananas, and avocados are rich sources of magnesium. These are not exotic health foods. They are everyday items that can make a remarkable difference when added to your evening routine. Magnesium works at a cellular level, helping muscle fibers relax after they contract. Without enough magnesium, those fibers get stuck in a tightened state, and when the body tries to relax during sleep, the result can be an abrupt, painful spasm. I once had a patient in her mid-70s who had been struggling with severe nighttime cramps for months. She tried every trick she found online. She bought new pillows, elevated her legs, purchased supplements that promised miracles, and even tried sleeping in a recliner. Nothing helped. During one visit, I asked her to tell me about her nightly eating habits. She admitted she rarely ate anything after 5 p.m. because she didn't like the feeling of going to bed full. She often ended the day with crackers or toast. Her diet lacked magnesium almost entirely. So I suggested a small, simple change: just a handful of almonds or a few slices of avocado an hour or two before bed. It was such a modest step that she laughed at first. But within a week, her cramps softened. Within 2 weeks, they became rare, and by the end of the month, she said she had slept through the night without a single episode. Her body didn't need a complicated treatment, it just needed magnesium. Before we continue, if this video is helping you understand your health, please subscribe, like, and share Senior Health Daily. It gives us the motivation to create more life-saving content for you. Potassium-rich foods to prevent night spasms. If magnesium is the mineral that relaxes your muscles, potassium is the mineral that keeps those muscles steady and balanced. Potassium acts like a gentle stabilizer inside your cells, helping electrical signals travel smoothly. When potassium levels drop, those signals become jumpy and unpredictable. Muscles misfire, nerves overreact, and suddenly a harmless stretch becomes a sharp cramp. Many seniors are surprised to hear how easily potassium can fall out of balance. Diuretics, low appetite, digestive issues, dehydration, and too much salt in the diet all interfere with potassium levels. Even when you think you are eating enough, your body may not process it efficiently anymore. What makes nighttime so vulnerable is that your muscles rely on potassium to maintain calm when everything else in the body slows down. Foods naturally rich in potassium are some of the easiest to enjoy. Sweet potatoes, oranges, yogurt, beans, and coconut water are simple, familiar choices that support muscle stability. When eaten in the evening, these foods help muscles regulate their electrical rhythm through the night. They also help counteract the effects of sodium, which can tighten muscles and make nighttime cramps more frequent. I remember a patient in her early 70s who dealt with nightly calf spasms for almost a year. She was active, walked every morning, and considered her diet fairly healthy. But when I asked her about her potassium intake, she realized she barely ate any potassium-rich foods except for the occasional banana. Her days were filled with sandwiches, crackers, and coffee. Her dinners were often carb-heavy and low in minerals. I recommended she add half a sweet potato or a small serving of yogurt to her evening routine. It was such a gentle change that she did not expect much, but within days, she noticed the intensity of her cramps easing. Within 2 weeks, she said her legs felt quieter at night. Her muscles were finally getting the minerals they had been missing, and her sleep became deeper and calmer. The beauty of potassium is that it works quietly. You may not feel the shift immediately, but your muscles absolutely do. With the right foods in your evening meals, the electrical stability inside muscle fibers becomes smoother and more predictable. That stability is what keeps muscles from tightening suddenly in the middle of the night. As we move forward, remember this: small dietary choices often become powerful nighttime protection. Foods that seem ordinary can deliver extraordinary relief when chosen with intention. Potassium is one of those quiet protectors, working from the inside out to give your muscles the comfort and support they deserve when the day finally comes to an end. Calcium-rich foods for seniors. Calcium is often talked about in connection with bones, but the truth is that your muscles rely on it just as much. Every single muscle contraction, from lifting your foot to taking a step, begins with calcium entering the muscle cell, and every relaxation afterward depends on calcium leaving that cell. When your body does not have enough calcium available, that cycle becomes strained. Muscles struggle to release after they tighten, and nighttime is when this problem finally shows itself. What makes calcium especially important for older adults is the way absorption changes with age. The stomach produces less acid, the intestines absorb less efficiently, and many seniors eat fewer calcium-rich foods without realizing it. You may think you are getting enough, but your body may not be using it the way it once did. And because calcium works closely with magnesium, even small deficiencies can disrupt the delicate balance muscles depend on. Foods like fortified milk, leafy greens, tofu, and sardines are gentle, nourishing sources of calcium. They do more than strengthen bones. They help muscles move through the hair cycle of tightening and releasing smoothly. When these foods are included in evening meals, they give muscles the raw material needed to stay calm through the night. I once worked with an older gentleman who had been waking up several times a night with cramps so intense that he avoided going to bed. He was convinced something was seriously wrong with his circulation. But after reviewing his diet, it became clear that he had unintentionally cut calcium almost entirely out of his routine. He avoided dairy because he thought it upset his stomach, and rarely ate greens because cooking felt like too much work. When we found alternative calcium sources that fit his lifestyle, something remarkable happened. His cramps softened noticeably within the first week and eventually became rare. He told me he felt as though his muscles had finally learned how to relax again. There is a simple scientific reason behind this transformation. When calcium levels drop at night, muscle fibers lose the ability to release tension. The muscles almost get stuck halfway between contracting and relaxing. That trapped tension appears as a tight knot or sudden sharp spasm. But when calcium is available in the bloodstream, those fibers can glide through their cycle the way they were designed to. It becomes easier for them to stay loose and flexible when you are asleep. Even if you eat well, your body might still be craving more support. By including calcium-rich foods in the evening, you give your muscles what they need in the hours when they are most vulnerable. It is one of the simplest ways to create a smoother, more comfortable night, and it pairs beautifully with the benefits of magnesium and potassium that we talked about earlier. Hydrating foods. Before bed. Hydration is one of the most overlooked aspects of nighttime leg cramps, yet it is one of the most powerful. Muscles are made up largely of water, and the way they move, respond, and relax depends heavily on their fluid balance. When the body is even mildly dehydrated, muscles become more sensitive, nerves fire more easily, and the risk of nighttime cramps increases dramatically. The challenge for many older adults is that they intentionally cut back on water in the evening to avoid waking up to use the bathroom. It is understandable, but this habit often leads to a quiet form of dehydration that becomes most noticeable during sleep. When muscles do not have enough fluid, the electrolytes inside them become concentrated, and the cells begin to misfire. The result is a sudden, painful tightening that pulls you out of sleep. This is where hydrating foods become incredibly helpful. They allow the body to receive gentle, steady hydration without overwhelming the bladder. Foods like watermelon, cucumbers, citrus fruits, and hydrating herbal teas offer a slow, soothing release of fluid that supports the muscles throughout the night. They help keep electrolytes balanced and create an environment where muscles can stay flexible and calm. I once had a patient who rarely drank water after dinner because she was afraid of nighttime bathroom trips. She often woke up with cramps that felt like her muscles were twisting in knots. When I asked her about her hydration habits, she admitted she felt thirsty most evenings, but resisted drinking anything. We made one small change. She added a cup of warm herbal tea and a few slices of hydrating fruit to her evening routine. Within a week, she noticed fewer nighttime cramps. Within 2 weeks, she felt more rested and more confident going to bed. There is a simple truth behind this improvement. Hydration helps the body deliver minerals to the muscles where they are needed most. It supports circulation, keeps nerve cells stable, and prevents the buildup of concentrated electrolytes that trigger sudden spasms. Muscles function best when they are bathing in the right balance of water and minerals. Without enough hydration, even magnesium, calcium, and potassium cannot work the way they are supposed to. Another benefit of hydrating foods is the comfort they bring. A warm cup of chamomile or ginger tea signals to your body that it is time to slow down. It supports both relaxation and hydration at the same time. This combination helps calm the nervous system and prepares the muscles for rest, reducing the risk of those unwanted nighttime surprises. Supporting hydration does not have to be complicated. It simply requires a shift in the timing and type of fluids you choose. Instead of forcing yourself to drink large amounts of water, using hydrating foods gives your muscles what they need without disturbing your sleep. It is a gentle, effective approach that honors both your comfort and your body's natural rhythms. Natural anti-inflammatory foods. One thing I have learned over the years is that inflammation quietly affects more parts of the body than most people realize. We often think of inflammation as something that happens when a joint aches or when a muscle feels sore after a long day. But nighttime leg cramps are deeply influenced by inflammation too. When muscles or nerves are irritated, even slightly, they become more reactive. They tighten more quickly, spasm more easily, and send stronger pain signals during the quiet hours of sleep. Natural anti-inflammatory foods can make a remarkable difference in calming this internal irritation. They do not work like medications that numb or block signals. Instead, they gently lower the tension inside the tissues so the muscles can function with ease again. Foods like turmeric tea, ginger, and tart cherry juice are comforting choices that support this process. They help reduce the irritability of muscle fibers and soothe the nerve pathways that sometimes trigger cramping. There is real science behind their effectiveness. Antioxidants found in these foods travel through the bloodstream and help repair the tiny stress points created throughout the day. When you think about it, your legs do a lot of work even on days when you barely leave the house. They support your posture, help you balance and carry your weight every time you stand up or shift positions. By bedtime, your muscles have spent an entire day contracting and releasing. If they are already irritated, they are more likely to react suddenly when your body enters its resting state. I remember a woman in her late 60s who came to me frustrated because she felt she had tried everything to calm her nighttime cramps. She stretched before bed, she stayed hydrated, she made changes to her diet, yet the cramps kept coming. When I asked her about inflammation, she looked confused. It turned out she was regularly eating foods that increased inflammation without realizing it. Once she incorporated a small evening cup of turmeric tea and began adding ginger to her meals, something shifted. Within 2 weeks, her cramps became less intense. A month later, she said her legs felt lighter at night, as if the tension she had been carrying for years was finally releasing. Inflammation is subtle, but its effects can be powerful. When it settles into the muscles or nerves, even the slightest trigger can set off a cramp. But when you consistently include calming foods in your routine, your body gradually returns to a more peaceful baseline. Your muscles become less reactive, your nerves become less jumpy, and your sleep becomes more dependable. What I find most comforting about these foods is how gentle they are. They do not overwhelm the body. They simply support it in the way nature intended. A warm ginger tea, a small glass of tart cherry juice, or a pinch of turmeric added to dinner can bring both physical relief and emotional comfort. These choices remind your body that you are listening, caring, and giving it what it needs to function smoothly through the night. What comes next builds on this foundation, because easing inflammation is only one piece of the larger puzzle. To fully protect the muscles during sleep, we also need to support the flow of blood that delivers oxygen and nutrients to your legs. That is where circulation-boosting foods become incredibly important. Foods that improve circulation. If there is one thing your muscles crave throughout the night, it is steady, comfortable blood flow. Circulation is the delivery system that brings oxygen and nutrients to the muscles and carries away the waste products they no longer need. When circulation slows down, even briefly, muscles become starved of oxygen. This shortage makes them more sensitive, more reactive, and more likely to spasm when everything quiets down at bedtime. The good news is that some foods have a powerful natural ability to boost circulation. They work by helping the body produce nitric oxide, a compound that gently widens blood vessels and allows blood to flow more freely. Foods like beets, dark chocolate, berries, and fatty fish support this process beautifully. They bring warmth, nourishment, and better movement into the bloodstream, which helps muscles stay relaxed when you are asleep. I once treated a gentleman in his late 70s who regularly experienced sudden leg cramps in the first hour of sleep. He described the pain as a sharp tightening that felt as though his muscles were running out of breath. And in many ways, that is exactly what was happening. When we reviewed his diet, we discovered that he ate very few foods that supported circulation. His meals were often heavy, processed, and lacking in color. We decided to introduce just a few circulation-boosting foods in the evening. He added a handful of berries after dinner, and occasionally enjoyed a small square of dark chocolate. Sometimes he added roasted beets to his plate. The change was subtle at first, but after 2 weeks, he noticed something remarkable. His legs no longer felt cold at bedtime. The heaviness in his calves began to fade. And most importantly, the nighttime cramps that used to wake him suddenly became rare. When circulation improves, the entire leg benefits. Muscles receive oxygen more quickly, nerves stay calmer, and blood vessels stay warm and flexible. The body is able to transport minerals like magnesium, calcium, and potassium more effectively. All of this creates a softer, more comfortable environment inside the muscles during sleep. Poor circulation, on the other hand, is one of the hidden reasons many seniors experience sudden cramping at night. As blood flow slows in the evening, the muscles become more vulnerable to tightening. Even something as small as shifting positions can trigger a cramp. But when circulation is supported through food, the legs remain more resilient and responsive. They are better protected from those abrupt, painful spasms. What I love most about circulation-boosting foods is how simple they are to incorporate. A few colorful berries, a bit of dark chocolate, a serving of fatty fish, or a small portion of roasted beets can become a comforting ritual that nourishes the body from the inside out. These foods not only support the heart, but also give the legs the strength and oxygen they need to stay relaxed throughout the night. This is why nighttime nutrition matters so deeply. Every choice you make in the evening influences how your muscles behave while you sleep, and when we combine circulation support with relaxation minerals and inflammation-calming foods, we begin to create an environment inside your body that protects you from cramps before they even begin. Foods that calm nerves before sleep. As important as minerals and circulation are for your muscles, there is another piece of the puzzle that deserves just as much attention: your nervous system. Every muscle contraction begins with a message sent through the nerves. When those nerves are jumpy, overstimulated, or carrying the tension of the day, your muscles feel it immediately. They tighten more easily, release more slowly, and protest when you try to settle into sleep. This is why calming the nervous system before bed is one of the most powerful ways to reduce nighttime leg cramps. When your nerves soften, your muscles follow. And nature has given us several foods that help ease the mind and quiet the body in the hours before bedtime. Chamomile tea is one of my favorites because of how gently it works. A warm cup in the evening sends a clear message to the nervous system that it is time to unwind. It soothes the mind, relaxes the breath, and helps muscles let go of the tension they have been holding onto throughout the day. Kiwi, bananas, oats, and almonds also play important roles. They contain natural compounds that support the production of serotonin and melatonin, the hormones that help regulate sleep and promote relaxation. I once treated a woman in her late 60s who described her legs as feeling restless every evening. Not painful exactly, but buzzing with a kind of nervous energy that made it hard for her muscles to settle. She tried stretching, walking, and even adjusting her mattress, but nothing quieted that restless feeling. When we talked more deeply, it became clear that her nervous system was overstimulated, especially at night. She often scrolled on her phone until bedtime, drank coffee in the afternoon, and rarely ate foods that supported relaxation. We made a simple change. Each evening, she drank chamomile tea and ate a small snack of kiwi and almonds. It seemed too gentle to make a difference, but within a week, her legs began to feel calmer. The buzzing sensation faded. The tension that once built up in her calves softened. And within a month, she said her nights felt peaceful in a way she hadn't experienced in years. Her nerves had finally found their rhythm again. The nervous system responds beautifully to nourishment. When you give it calming foods before bed, you create a state of harmony inside your body. And when the nerves relax, the muscles relax. The two are always connected. That is why ignoring the nervous system often leads to incomplete relief from leg cramps. You must care for both. Better sleep is another priceless benefit of these calming foods. When your nervous system settles, you drift into deeper, more restorative sleep. And when sleep improves, the body heals more effectively. Muscles recover, circulation improves, inflammation decreases. Every part of the body benefits. This is the power of intentional nighttime nutrition. You are not only preventing muscle spasms, you are creating the conditions for your entire body to rest, heal, and restore itself. The foods you choose in the evening are not just fuel. They are signals. They tell your body whether it should brace for tension or prepare for rest. What foods to avoid at night? Now that we have talked about the foods that support your muscles, nerves, and circulation, it is just as important to understand the foods that quietly work against your body at night. Many seniors are surprised to learn that some evening choices, even small ones, can trigger or worsen leg cramps without warning. These foods are not harmful on their own, but the way they interact with an aging body can create tension, dehydration, and nerve irritability. During sleep, one of the biggest culprits is excess salt. When you eat salty foods at night, your body retains fluid in a way that throws off the delicate balance between sodium and potassium inside your muscles. This imbalance creates a kind of internal pressure that makes the muscle fibers more likely to tighten suddenly. I once had a patient who loved snacking on crackers and salted nuts before bed. She could not understand why her nighttime cramps were getting worse. When she reduced her salty evening snacks, the intensity of her cramps faded within days. Her muscles were finally able to relax because the electrolyte balance had been restored. Caffeine is another trigger that often goes unnoticed. Even if you drink it earlier in the afternoon, caffeine can linger in your system long into the evening. It stimulates your nervous system, making your nerves more reactive than they should be at bedtime. When nerves stay alert, muscles stay alert too. Many older adults underestimate how sensitive their bodies have become to caffeine. Reducing or eliminating it from the late afternoon and evening can make a tremendous difference in sleep quality, muscle relaxation, and overall nighttime comfort. Sugary desserts may feel comforting at the end of the day, but they can also create rapid shifts in blood sugar levels. These shifts pull water and electrolytes out of balance, leaving your muscles dehydrated and more prone to spasms. A patient of mine once ate a small bowl of ice cream every night because it helped her relax emotionally. But her muscles paid the price. When she switched to a warm herbal tea and a piece of fruit, she noticed a dramatic improvement in the frequency of her cramps. Alcohol is another hidden factor. Many seniors assume a small drink in the evening will help them sleep, but alcohol actually disrupts sleep cycles, dehydrates the body, and interferes with mineral absorption. When your body cannot absorb magnesium or calcium effectively, your muscles are left without the tools they need to stay calm. Even a single drink can have an impact if your body is already sensitive. One of my patients discovered this when her nightly glass of wine, something she enjoyed for years, suddenly started triggering cramps after she turned 70. Her body had simply changed, and once she adjusted her routine, her nights became much more peaceful. What these foods have in common is the way they influence your internal balance. They may seem harmless, but your muscles, nerves, and circulation feel their effects long after you finish eating. The goal is not to eliminate every treat or follow a rigid diet. The goal is to understand the timing and the impact. When you choose foods that support hydration, minerals, and relaxation, your nights become smoother. When you avoid foods that create tension or disrupt balance, your muscles gain the freedom to rest. And most importantly, listening to your body becomes easier. When you pay attention to how certain foods make you feel at night, you begin to notice patterns. Those patterns guide you toward choices that create ease, comfort, and restful sleep, rather than unexpected discomfort. You become an active partner in your own well-being, and your nights begin to reflect that care. Practical, step-by-step night routine. Now that we have explored the foods that strengthen your muscles and the foods that work quietly against them, I want to bring everything together in a simple nighttime routine that supports your entire body. The goal is not perfection. The goal is small choices that add up to a comfortable, cramp-free night. When these habits become part of your rhythm, your legs receive the calm, nourishment, and circulation they need while you sleep. Imagine your evening beginning with a gentle, mineral-rich snack about an hour or two before bedtime. Maybe it is a few slices of avocado paired with almonds, or a small portion of yogurt alongside half a sweet potato. This combination gives your body a beautiful balance of magnesium and potassium, the very minerals your muscles rely on for steady, peaceful relaxation. It prepares your legs for the night ahead by supporting the electrical balance within each muscle cell. As your evening continues, you might sip on a warm herbal tea. Chamomile, ginger, or turmeric tea are comforting choices because they support hydration, calm the nervous system, and ease any lingering inflammation from the day. This gentle warmth acts like a quiet signal, telling your muscles it is safe to let go of their tension and drift into rest. Some people enjoy adding a small treat that boosts circulation. A few berries or a square of dark chocolate can help open blood vessels and encourage the smooth flow of oxygen to your muscles. These foods are not only delicious, but also incredibly effective in supporting nighttime comfort. When your body feels ready, finishing the evening with a few minutes of light stretching can make a remarkable difference. It does not have to be anything intense. Simple movements that lengthen the calves and thighs help your muscles accept the minerals you have fed them and release any tightness that might have accumulated during the day. This gentle stretch becomes an invitation for the muscles to remain loose and flexible as the night unfolds. I once worked with a woman in her early 70s who followed a routine almost exactly like this. She had been dealing with nightly cramps for years and felt defeated by how unpredictable her nights had become. But once she began supporting her evening with the right foods, hydration, and stretching, her legs responded beautifully. Her cramps softened, her sleep deepened, and she told me she felt as though her body had finally begun cooperating with her again. This kind of routine is not about restriction. It is about giving your body what it needs at the time it needs it most. Nighttime is your moment to replenish, restore, and prepare for the next day. When you treat it with intention and care, your muscles feel the difference. Your sleep becomes more restful, your nights become smoother, and your confidence in your own body begins to grow again. Real patient stories for credibility. Over the years, I have seen countless seniors walk into my office believing their nighttime leg cramps were simply an unavoidable part of aging. And time after time, I have watched their lives transform when they began nourishing their bodies in a way that supported their muscles. These changes were never complicated, never extreme, and never out of reach. They were gentle adjustments rooted in understanding how the body speaks through symptoms like cramps. I remember a woman around 70 who came to me exhausted. She told me her nights felt unpredictable, as if her muscles were waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When we talked about her eating habits, it became clear that potassium was missing entirely from her routine. She rarely ate fruits or vegetables, mostly because cooking felt overwhelming when she lived alone. She agreed to add a sweet potato or a serving of yogurt before bed. Within days, her legs began to settle. By the second week, she said she was sleeping through nights she once feared. Another patient, an 82-year-old man, believed he had tried every trick possible: stretching, warm baths, elevating his legs, changing his pillows. But he still suffered from cramps that pulled him out of sleep like a lightning bolt. When I asked him about salt and caffeine, he admitted he loved salty snacks in the evening and drank coffee well into the afternoon. We made 2 small shifts. He replaced his night snacks with fruit and nuts, and he set a firm cutoff for caffeine. The improvement was almost immediate. His cramps went from nightly to occasional, and eventually faded almost completely. He told me it felt as if his body was finally breathing again. One of the most touching stories came from a 65-year-old woman who struggled with cramps so intensely that they made her afraid to fall asleep. She lived with mild inflammation and often felt tense at the end of the day. I encouraged her to incorporate magnesium-rich foods along with anti-inflammatory choices like ginger and tart cherry juice. She also added a warm cup of chamomile tea to her evenings. A month later, she returned with tears in her eyes because she had experienced her first full week of peaceful sleep in years. Her muscles felt lighter, her nerves calmer, and her nights quiet. These stories are reminders that your body responds to care, even after decades of strain, stress, and imbalance. Small intentional changes can reshape the way your muscles behave at night. They can restore comfort, confidence, and rest in ways that feel almost miraculous. The truth is, your legs are not betraying you. They are speaking to you, and when you give them the nourishment they need, they repay you with strength, ease, and calm. Nighttime leg cramps do not have to define your evenings. With the right foods, the right timing, and the right habits, your body can shift from tension to peace. You have far more power over your comfort than you may realize. As we come to the end of our time together today, I want you to take a gentle breath and remind yourself of something important. Leg cramps do not have to control your nights. They are not signs of weakness or failure. They are simply messages. Messages from a body that has been working tirelessly for you, carrying you through decades of responsibility, movement, joy, and even hardship. When your legs speak through discomfort, they are not punishing you, they are asking for support. If you think about everything your legs have done for you, the miles they have walked, the mornings they helped you rise from bed, the years they lifted children, carried groceries, supported long workdays, and helped you show up for the people you love. These legs have earned your gratitude. They have been loyal companions on the journey of your life. And now, they deserve nourishment, rest, and gentle care. What I hope you carry with you is the truth that healing is still possible. Even at 60, 70, or 80, your body continues to respond to the choices you make. A cup of calming tea, a serving of magnesium-rich food, a handful of potassium-rich fruit, or a simple evening stretch can create shifts far bigger than you imagine. Small changes add up. Your muscles soften, your nerves settle, your nights become quieter, and your confidence grows. Every meal is a chance to help your legs feel stronger. Every evening is a chance to support your circulation. Every act of nourishment is a step toward comfort and restful sleep. You are not powerless in this. You are capable, and your body is ready to meet you halfway. And as you continue this journey, I want you to remember that you are not walking it alone. Here at Senior Health Daily, I am right beside you, guiding you with compassion, clarity, and the hope that you feel better tomorrow than you did today. Your body still listens, it still responds, and it still wants to carry you forward.